I was reviewing Christmas expense receipts in my home office when my father's call shattered my evening. "You're not invited to Christmas this year," Daniel announced coldly. "The family needs space from your attitude." My response came without hesitation. "Fine." While he continued talking, I logged into my bank account and transferred the $10,000 ID sent for our family's luxury celebration back into my checking account. 3 clicks canceled the Colorado chalet reservation, the catered dinner, and scheduled gift deliveries. By morning, my phone displayed 20 missed calls and 1 voicemail message that made me burst into uncontrollable laughter. The silence in my house felt deafening after that phone call ended. I sat staring at my computer screen, watching the bank transfer confirmation appear. $10,000. That number represented 3 years of creating magical Christmas memories for a family that apparently no longer wanted me around. I built my marketing consultancy from nothing after college, working 16-hour days and sacrificing weekends to establish myself in a competitive industry. Success didn't come overnight, but when it finally arrived, sharing that prosperity with my family felt natural. My father, Daniel, a retired postal worker living on a modest pension, and his wife, Patricia, who worked part-time at a local gift shop, could never afford the kind of Christmas celebrations I organized. For 3 consecutive years, I had rented the luxury chalet in Aspen, flying in relatives from California, Texas, and Florida. I hired private chefs to prepare elaborate holiday feasts, arranged ski lessons for the younger cousins, and coordinated gift exchanges that would make department store windows jealous. Every detail was planned months in advance, every expense covered without question or complaint from my end. The first Christmas after my mother died, Dad seemed lost and broken. Patricia had only been in his life for 8 months then, but she stepped into the role of holiday coordinator with enthusiasm that initially felt like a blessing. When I suggested we make that Christmas extra special to honor Mom's memory, Patricia embraced the idea wholeheartedly. She helped me plan menus, coordinate travel schedules, and organize activities for the children. But somewhere between that first collaborative Christmas and last month's planning sessions, something fundamental shifted in our family dynamics. I started noticing subtle changes in how Patricia spoke about my contributions. Last year, when I arrived at the chalet with carloads of professionally wrapped presents, she made a comment about hoping the children wouldn't become spoiled by all this excess. When I arranged for a professional photographer to capture family moments, she wondered aloud whether we needed to document everything like some kind of performance. Those comments felt like tiny paper cuts at the time, small enough to ignore but persistent enough to sting. I told myself Patricia was simply adjusting to having financial resources available for the first time in her adult life. Her background was similar to Dad's, working class and practical, so maybe elaborate celebrations made her uncomfortable. The morning after Dad's devastating phone call brought a flood of voicemails that painted a clearer picture of what had been happening behind my back. My half-sister Emma, just 16 years old, sobbed through a message about losing the ski trip she'd promised her friends from school. She had been planning this vacation for months, posting countdown updates on social media and shopping for new winter gear with money from her part-time job at a local cafe. "Susanna, please don't do this to us." Emma's voice cracked through the phone speaker. "I know Dad was mean to you, but why are you punishing everyone else? My friends already bought their plane tickets, and now I have to tell them the whole trip is canceled. This is so embarrassing." Uncle Robert, Dad's brother from Phoenix, left an angry voicemail demanding explanations about the canceled catering service. The chef called this morning asking about menu changes, and when I told him I didn't know anything, he said the entire order was canceled last night. "What's going on, Susanna? We have 18 family members flying in for this celebration." But the message that truly revealed the depth of what I was dealing with came from Patricia herself. Her voice carried a venom I had never heard before, dropping all pretense of the sweet, supportive stepmother persona she typically maintained around me. "You think you can hold money over this family's head like a weapon?" Patricia snarled into my voicemail. "Well, congratulations, Susanna. You've just proved exactly what kind of person you really are. Your father was right about everything he said. You only care about controlling people. And when someone dares to set boundaries with you, you punish innocent children and elderly relatives. Your mother would be ashamed of the selfish brat you've become." That final comment about my mother hit like a physical blow. Patricia had never met my mother, who died 2 years before Dad started dating her. Yet she felt entitled to speak on behalf of a woman whose memory I treasured and whose values shaped every generous impulse it ever acted upon. Listening to that voicemail, I realized the phone call from Dad hadn't been a spontaneous emotional outburst. This was the culmination of a carefully orchestrated campaign. Patricia's subtle comments over the past 2 years suddenly made perfect sense as pieces of a larger strategy. She had been planting seeds of doubt about my motivations, watering them with carefully worded concerns about family dynamics, and nurturing them into full-blown resentment. I remembered last Christmas Eve, when Patricia pulled Dad aside for a private conversation in the chalet's kitchen. Through the window, I could see her speaking intensely, while Dad nodded with increasing seriousness. When they rejoined the group, Dad seemed different around me for the rest of the evening, more formal and less affectionate than usual. There was also the incident at Easter dinner when Patricia suggested the family needed to be more self-sufficient and less dependent on any one person's generosity. She framed it as a healthy boundary, a way to ensure everyone contributed meaningfully to family celebrations rather than relying on a single benefactor. At the time, I assumed she was trying to encourage more participation from relatives who might feel overshadowed by my financial contributions. Now I understood those conversations were actually interventions, designed to paint my generosity as unhealthy control and my financial support as manipulation. Patricia had been building a case against me for months, possibly years, using my father's grief and financial insecurity as leverage to turn him against his own daughter. The most painful realization was that Dad had chosen to believe her version of events without ever confronting me directly about these supposed issues with my behavior. If I was truly being controlling or manipulative, wouldn't a loving father try to address those problems through honest conversation? Instead, he had allowed Patricia to poison his perception of me while continuing to accept and enjoy the luxurious celebrations I provided. As I sat in my home office that night, surrounded by canceled reservation confirmations and bank transfer receipts, I felt something inside me shift permanently. The daughter who had spent 3 years trying to heal her father's grief through elaborate gift-giving was gone. In her place sat a woman who finally understood that love without respect is just another form of exploitation. The next morning brought unexpected clarity through an unlikely source. Jeremy, my cousin from Denver, called before I finished my first cup of coffee. As a social worker specializing in family dynamics, Jeremy had always maintained careful neutrality in our extended family's occasional drama. His voice carried an urgency that immediately captured my attention. "Susanna, I need to tell you something that's going to upset you, but you deserve to know what's been happening." Jeremy began without his usual pleasantries. "Patricia has been conducting a whisper campaign against you for months. I've been hearing pieces of it at family gatherings, and I finally put the whole picture together." My stomach dropped as Jeremy explained what he'd witnessed and overheard. Patricia had been systematically contacting family members with carefully crafted stories about my allegedly controlling behavior. She told my Aunt Carol in Sacramento that I once threatened to cut everyone off financially if the family didn't show sufficient gratitude for my Christmas contributions. She informed my cousin Lisa in Houston that I demanded constant praise and recognition, making family gatherings uncomfortable for everyone who couldn't match my financial generosity. "The worst part," Jeremy continued, "is how she twisted genuine family conversations to support her narrative. Remember when your Uncle Robert mentioned feeling bad that he couldn't contribute more to the Christmas fund? Patricia told people that conversation happened because you made him feel inadequate about his finances. She claimed you regularly made comments about everyone being dependent on your money." I nearly dropped my coffee mug. I remembered that conversation with Uncle Robert perfectly. He had privately expressed gratitude for my Christmas contributions while mentioning his own financial struggles as a retired mechanic on a fixed income. I had assured him that family gatherings weren't about financial contributions but about spending time together. The idea that Patricia had weaponized his vulnerability to damage my reputation felt particularly cruel. Jeremy revealed that Patricia had been especially active on social media, creating private family group chats that excluded me while sharing carefully edited screenshots of conversations that painted me in the worst possible light. She would take my practical questions about meal planning or travel logistics and present them as evidence of my need to control every detail of family interactions. "Last month, she shared a screenshot where you asked about dietary restrictions for the Christmas menu," Jeremy explained. "But she cropped out the part where you mentioned wanting to make sure everyone felt included and comfortable. Instead, she made it look like you were demanding detailed information about everyone's eating habits for some controlling purpose." The revelation that struck deepest was Patricia's manipulation of my relationship with Emma. My teenage half-sister and I had developed a close bond over the years, partly through our shared love of adventure sports and travel. I had been teaching Emma to ski during our Christmas trips, and she often called me for advice about college planning and career choices. Patricia had been telling family members that my mentorship of Emma was actually an attempt to undermine her authority as a stepmother. She claimed I was trying to turn Emma against her by offering opportunities and experiences Patricia couldn't provide. According to Jeremy, Patricia had even suggested that my financial support came with strings attached, specifically that Emma had to choose loyalty between her stepmother and her successful half-sister. She's been particularly effective at manipulating your dad's guilt, Jeremy added quietly. Patricia keeps reminding him that he never provided the kind of lifestyle for your family that you can now create. She frames your generosity as a constant reminder of his limitations as a provider, especially compared to your mother's memory. This insight devastated me because it revealed how Patricia had weaponized Dad's deepest insecurities. After Mom died, he struggled with feelings of inadequacy about his ability to hold the family together emotionally and financially. My success, which I had hoped would ease some of his burdens, had apparently been transformed into a source of shame and resentment through Patricia's careful manipulation. Jeremy also revealed that Patricia had been organizing secret family meetings and conference calls, specifically to discuss the Susanna situation. These conversations happened while I was traveling for work or attending business conferences, ensuring my absence while family members debated my alleged character flaws and controlling behaviors. The really manipulative part, Jeremy continued, is how Patricia presents herself as trying to protect you from family criticism. She positions herself as your defender, while simultaneously spreading the stories that create the need for defense. It's textbook manipulation, the kind of thing I see in toxic family systems all the time. As Jeremy detailed Patricia's tactics, I began remembering incidents from recent family gatherings that now made perfect sense. The way conversations stopped abruptly when I entered rooms, the unusually formal way some relatives interacted with me, the subtle distance I felt from family members who had previously been warm and inclusive. Last Thanksgiving, I had noticed my Aunt Carol being particularly reserved around me, offering polite but minimal conversation despite our historically close relationship. When I asked if everything was okay, she assured me it was, but maintained that strange formality throughout the visit. Now I understood she had probably been influenced by Patricia's stories and didn't know how to navigate her conflicted feelings. The most painful realization was understanding how isolated I had become within my own extended family without even recognizing what was happening. Patricia had successfully created doubt about my character and motivations while maintaining her position as the concerned family member trying to manage a difficult situation. The thing that really bothers me, Jeremy concluded, is how Patricia has been enjoying all the benefits of your generosity, while simultaneously working to destroy your relationships with the people you're trying to help. She's been the primary coordinator for all your Christmas celebrations, taking credit for the planning and organization while secretly telling people you're controlling and manipulative. After ending the call with Jeremy, I sat in my kitchen feeling like I was seeing my family dynamics clearly for the first time in months. Patricia had been playing an incredibly sophisticated game, positioning herself as both the solution to the problems she was creating and the innocent victim of my alleged controlling behavior. The strategy was particularly effective because it exploited real family dynamics that existed before Patricia entered the picture. Dad did struggle with feelings of financial inadequacy. Some relatives did feel uncomfortable accepting expensive gifts they couldn't reciprocate. Extended family members did sometimes feel pressure to express appropriate gratitude for experiences they could never provide themselves. Patricia hadn't created these tensions, but she had expertly manipulated them to serve her agenda. Instead of helping the family navigate these natural but challenging dynamics, she had weaponized them to eliminate what she apparently saw as competition for influence and control within the family structure. As I processed this information, I felt a strange combination of heartbreak and relief. Learning about Patricia's systematic manipulation was devastating, but it also explained the growing sense of alienation I'd been feeling from my own family. I wasn't losing my mind or imagining the changed dynamics. There was a real campaign being conducted against me, and now I finally understood its scope and methodology. That afternoon, I decided to dig deeper into the financial aspects of our Christmas arrangements. Something about Patricia's entitled attitude in that voicemail suggested she had been more involved in the money management than I previously realized. I pulled out 3 years of receipts, invoices, and payment confirmations, spreading them across my dining room table like evidence in a criminal investigation. What I discovered made my blood run cold. I had been writing checks directly to Patricia for many of the Christmas expenses, trusting her to coordinate with vendors and handle the detailed logistics. She had assured me this approach was more efficient since she lived closer to Dad and could manage local arrangements more easily. I had appreciated her willingness to take on the administrative burden, viewing it as genuine helpfulness rather than an opportunity for financial manipulation. But comparing my payment records with the actual invoices Patricia had forwarded revealed significant discrepancies. The luxury catering service I thought I was funding had been downgraded to basic buffet options. The premium wine selections were replaced with discount varieties. The elaborate floral arrangements became simple centerpieces. In every case, Patricia had pocketed the difference while ensuring the family still received my original receipts showing the higher amounts. The pattern was consistent and calculating. Over 2 years, Patricia had embezzled nearly $4,000 from Christmas funds alone. But the theft went beyond simple skimming. She had been creating entirely fictional family emergencies to extract additional money throughout the year. I found records of emergency transfers I had completely forgotten about. Patricia had contacted me about her elderly mother needing unexpected medical procedures, requesting $1,500 to help with uncovered expenses. She had claimed Emma's car needed emergency repairs before a college campus visit, asking for $800 to ensure my sister's safety. There was even a request for $1,200 to help with utility bills during a particularly harsh winter, with Patricia explaining that Dad was too proud to ask me directly for help. None of these emergencies had been real. I called my accountant friend Madison, asking her to review the financial records with fresh eyes. Madison worked in forensic accounting, specializing in detecting financial fraud in small businesses and family situations. Her analysis confirmed what I suspected and revealed additional layers of deception I had missed. "This is textbook financial manipulation," Madison explained over lunch the next day. "She's been systematically testing your boundaries, starting with small discrepancies and gradually escalating to larger thefts as she gained confidence in your trust and her ability to avoid detection." Madison pointed out that Patricia's timing had been particularly strategic. Most of the fake emergencies coincided with periods when I was traveling internationally for business, making it difficult for me to verify the situations directly with Dad or other family members. Patricia had been tracking my schedule and identifying optimal windows for her fraudulent requests. "The really sophisticated part," Madison continued, "is how she's been using your own generosity against you. She knows you'd rather send money quickly and ask questions later when family members might be in genuine need. She's been exploiting your caring nature and your busy professional schedule." While I was absorbing the financial implications of Patricia's deception, my phone rang with a call that surprised me. Tyler, my younger brother who lived in Portland, was reaching out despite our limited communication over the past year. Tyler worked as a software engineer for a gaming company, and his job kept him busy with projects that often required extensive travel to industry conferences and client meetings. "Susanna, I heard about what happened with Dad and Christmas," Tyler said without preamble. "I need you to know that I never believed any of the things Patricia's been saying about you." My throat tightened with unexpected emotion. Tyler and I had grown apart geographically after college, but hearing his support felt like finding solid ground after months of shifting family dynamics. Tyler explained that Patricia had been much more direct in her criticisms when she thought she was speaking to a sympathetic audience. During his last visit home in August, she had complained extensively about my alleged need for control and recognition. She had suggested that I used financial contributions to manipulate family dynamics and ensure I remained the center of attention during gatherings. "The thing that really bothered me," Tyler continued, "is how she kept pushing me to agree with her criticisms of you. When I didn't respond the way she wanted, she became more aggressive about it. She actually said the family would be better off if you learned to step back and let other people take the lead sometimes." Tyler revealed that Patricia had been particularly focused on positioning herself as the family's new coordinator and decision-maker. She had suggested that my financial contributions created an unhealthy dynamic where everyone felt obligated to defer to my preferences about holiday plans and family activities. "But here's the thing I never told her," Tyler said. I remember how you were after Mom died. You threw yourself into taking care of everyone because that's how you process grief. You're not trying to control people, you're trying to love them the only way you knew how during an impossible time. His insight hit me like a revelation. I had never articulated it that way, but Tyler was right. After losing Mom, I had channeled my grief into caretaking behaviors, trying to create the kind of joyful family experiences she had always prioritized. My Christmas celebrations weren't about control or recognition. They were about honoring her memory and maintaining family connections during a period when everything felt fragmented and uncertain. Tyler proposed that we work together to address Patricia's manipulation before it permanently damaged my relationship with Dad. Hello, I'm delighted to assist you with our voice services. Choose a voice that resonates with you, and let's begin our creative audio journey together. If she had been positioning herself as a better alternative to my leadership, giving her the opportunity to prove that claim might be the most powerful way to expose her limitations. We agreed to maintain regular communication while allowing the family crisis to unfold organically. Tyler would attend any Christmas gathering that materialized, serving as my eyes and ears while avoiding direct confrontation with Patricia. Meanwhile, I would focus on documenting the financial theft and manipulation for potential future use. Whatever happens, Tyler concluded, I want you to know that some of us see what's really been going on. Patricia doesn't speak for the whole family, even though she's been acting like she does. That evening, I felt something I hadn't experienced in months: hope. Having Tyler's perspective and support reminded me that I wasn't crazy or unreasonable. Patricia's manipulation had been real and extensive, but it hadn't fooled everyone. There were still family members who valued honesty and genuine relationships over the convenient narratives Patricia had been promoting. For the first time since Dad's devastating phone call, I began to believe that this crisis might ultimately strengthen rather than destroy the relationships that mattered most to me. 2 weeks after my conversation with Tyler, he called with information that completely reframed my understanding of Patricia's long-term strategy. His voice carried a mixture of anger and disbelief that I had never heard from my typically calm younger brother. Susanna, you need to sit down for this, Tyler began. I've been investigating Patricia's recent activities, and what I found is so much worse than we thought. Tyler had spent his Thanksgiving weekend in Portland, but instead of relaxing, he had been making phone calls to extended family members and following digital trails through social media accounts and public records. His background in technology had given him research skills that proved invaluable in uncovering Patricia's broader deception. Patricia has been planning to replace your financial support entirely, Tyler explained. She's been cultivating a relationship with her brother Marcus for over 6 months, positioning him as an alternative benefactor for family celebrations. Marcus, Patricia's older brother, had recently gone through an expensive divorce that left him wealthy but isolated from his own adult children, who had chosen to maintain primary relationships with their mother. According to Tyler's research, Marcus was a successful real estate developer who had built a substantial portfolio of commercial properties throughout Colorado and Wyoming. Marcus is basically looking for a family to adopt, Tyler continued. His divorce was ugly, and his kids blame him for the breakup. Patricia has been presenting our family as this warm, welcoming group that would appreciate his generosity and include him in holiday traditions. The revelation was staggering in its calculated cruelty. Patricia hadn't just been working to exclude me from family dynamics. She had been actively recruiting my replacement. Her criticism of my financial contributions wasn't motivated by concerns about family independence or healthy boundaries. She had been clearing space for her brother's money and influence, while positioning herself as the coordinator of this new arrangement. Tyler had managed to piece together the timeline of Patricia's courtship of Marcus through social media posts and conversations with family members who had met him during recent visits. Marcus had attended Dad's birthday dinner in September, where Patricia had introduced him as someone interested in getting more involved with family celebrations. Remember how Patricia kept talking about the importance of family traditions and making sure everyone felt included? Tyler asked. She wasn't talking about including existing family members more meaningfully. She was laying groundwork for including Marcus while excluding you. The most disturbing aspect of Patricia's plan was how she intended to handle the transition. Rather than simply asking me to step back from organizing Christmas celebrations, she had been building a narrative that would justify permanently cutting me out of family finances and decision-making processes. Patricia had been telling Marcus that I was possessive about my role as family benefactor and would likely react poorly to sharing that responsibility with someone else. She had described me as someone who used financial generosity to maintain control over family dynamics, suggesting that introducing another generous family member would create conflict and drama. Basically, Tyler explained, she's been setting you up to look exactly as selfish and controlling as she claimed when you withdrew your Christmas support. She predicted you'd react badly to competition, and then she created the conditions that would make that prediction appear to come true. The manipulation was so sophisticated that I felt sick imagining how thoroughly Patricia had planned my destruction within the family structure. She hadn't just been responding to opportunities as they arose. She had been implementing a multi-month strategy designed to permanently alter my relationships with people I loved. Tyler also discovered that Marcus had already begun making financial contributions to family members, though these gifts had been kept quiet at Patricia's suggestion. He had paid for Emma's new laptop and covered her car insurance for 6 months. He had helped Uncle Robert with some home repair expenses and contributed to my elderly grandmother's medical bills. Patricia told him that making these contributions quietly would be more meaningful than the showy displays that some family members preferred, Tyler said with disgust. She's been positioning your Christmas celebrations as attention-seeking behavior while presenting Marcus' secret generosity as more authentic and humble. The comparison was particularly painful because it distorted everything I had tried to accomplish through my Christmas planning. I had never wanted attention or recognition for my financial contributions. I had wanted to create joyful, shared experiences that would strengthen family bonds and honor my mother's memory. Patricia had weaponized those genuine motivations, transforming them into evidence of narcissistic manipulation. But Tyler's most devastating revelation was still coming. Marcus has been planning to officially replace your Christmas contributions this year, Tyler continued. He was going to surprise everyone at Christmas dinner by announcing his commitment to funding future family celebrations. Patricia has been building anticipation for this grand gesture while simultaneously working to ensure you wouldn't be there to complicate the narrative. I realized that Dad's phone call telling me I wasn't invited to Christmas hadn't been an emotional outburst motivated by accumulated frustration with my alleged controlling behavior. It had been a calculated move designed to clear the stage for Marcus' debut as the family's new benefactor. Patricia's timeline had been carefully orchestrated. Exclude me from Christmas planning, provoke my withdrawal of financial support through Dad's rejection, allow the family to experience crisis and disappointment, and then introduce Marcus as the generous savior who could restore their holiday dreams while requiring no dramatic personality adjustments from anyone. The really sick part, Tyler added, is how this makes your reaction to Dad's phone call look like exactly the kind of manipulative behavior Patricia has been claiming you're capable of. She probably expected you to cancel everything and leave the family scrambling, which would prove her point about your character. Understanding Patricia's strategy helped me realize that my immediate response to Dad's call had actually fallen directly into her trap. By withdrawing financial support quickly and decisively, I had provided the exact evidence Patricia needed to justify her criticisms of my character to family members who might have otherwise remained skeptical. Tyler and I spent another hour discussing potential responses to this revelation. Directly confronting Patricia about her deception risked appearing desperate or vindictive, especially since she could easily frame any evidence we presented as attempts to discredit her because we felt threatened by Marcus' generosity. I think our best strategy is still to let Patricia's plan unfold naturally, Tyler concluded, but now we know she has backup support ready to deploy. We need to be prepared for Marcus to emerge as the Christmas savior, which might actually make Patricia look even more manipulative if we handle it correctly. We agreed that documenting Patricia's financial theft remained important, but the bigger issue was now her systematic deception about family dynamics and her calculated replacement strategy. Tyler would continue monitoring family communications and social media activity while I focused on preparing for whatever confrontation might eventually become necessary. That night, I sat in my living room feeling like I was seeing a completely different version of the past year. Every family interaction I had questioned, every subtle shift in relationships I had noticed, every moment of feeling like an outsider in my own extended family now made perfect sense as components of an elaborate manipulation campaign. Patricia hadn't just been criticizing my character or questioning my motivations. She had been implementing a comprehensive strategy to remove me from my family and replace me with someone who would enhance her own position and influence. The cruelty of that realization was almost overwhelming, but it also brought a strange sense of relief. I wasn't losing my family because I had failed them somehow. I was losing my family because someone had deliberately worked to destroy those relationships while benefiting from my generosity and trust. 3 weeks before Christmas, Tyler called with news that changed everything. Marcus pulled out. He announced without preamble. Completely. No explanation to the family, but I think I know what happened. My heart raced as Tyler explained the sudden reversal that had left Patricia scrambling and the family facing a catastrophic holiday crisis. Marcus had been scheduled to attend a pre-Christmas dinner at Dad's house the previous weekend, where Patricia had planned to formally introduce him as the family's new holiday coordinator and financial sponsor. According to Tyler, who had spoken with Emma directly, the dinner had been a disaster from start to finish. Emma, in her typical 16-year-old fashion, had been excited about meeting Marcus and learning about his plans for Christmas. She had spent weeks posting social media updates about the upcoming ski trip and family reunion, building anticipation among her friends and extended relatives. Her enthusiasm was genuine and infectious, exactly the kind of response Patricia had probably hoped Marcus would find endearing. But Emma's excitement had also led her to mention details that Patricia had apparently hoped to keep quiet, at least temporarily. Aunt Susanna always made such amazing Christmases, Emma had told Marcus during dinner, according to Tyler's account. The chalet she rented in Aspen was incredible, and she hired these professional chefs who made everything perfect. I'm going to miss those celebrations, but Patricia says you're going to make this year even better. Patricia had quickly tried to redirect the conversation, but Emma continued with the innocent honesty that teenagers often display when they haven't yet learned to navigate adult politics. I don't really understand why Dad got so upset with Susanna, Emma had added. She was always nice to me, and she never seemed controlling like Patricia says. I think maybe Patricia just doesn't like having someone else plan family events because she wants to be in charge of everything herself. Tyler reported that Patricia had become visibly agitated during this exchange, sharply correcting Emma and attempting to reinforce her narrative about my allegedly problematic behavior. But her reaction had apparently raised red flags for Marcus, who had built his business success on accurately reading people and situations. Marcus had started asking more specific questions about the family dynamics surrounding my absence from Christmas planning. Patricia had struggled to provide coherent explanations for why someone who had been generously supporting family celebrations would suddenly become excluded unless there were more complex motivations involved. The turning point, Tyler continued, was when Marcus asked Patricia directly about the financial arrangements for previous Christmas celebrations. She got caught in several contradictions about how much things cost and who had been responsible for different expenses. Marcus had apparently become suspicious about Patricia's handling of money based on these inconsistencies. Tyler suspected that Marcus had privately investigated some of Patricia's claims and discovered the evidence of financial skimming and fraudulent emergency requests. Whatever he found, Tyler said, it was enough to make him completely withdraw from any involvement with the family. Patricia had to call Emma yesterday to tell her the ski trip was canceled and there wouldn't be any Christmas celebration this year beyond basic family dinner at Dad's house. The devastating impact of Marcus' withdrawal was immediate and comprehensive. Without his backing or my planning and financial support, the family faced their first Christmas in 4 years without any of the elaborate traditions they had come to expect and depend upon. Emma was particularly heartbroken because she had already committed to her friends about the ski vacation and had been planning the trip for months. Her disappointment wasn't just about missing a luxury experience. She was facing the social embarrassment of having to cancel plans she had been excitedly promoting to her entire peer group. Uncle Robert was frantically calling extended family members to explain that there would be no Christmas reunion this year, leaving relatives who had already purchased plane tickets and arranged time off work to scramble for alternative holiday plans. The catered dinner was canceled, the professional photographer was dismissed, and the elaborate gift exchange coordination fell apart completely, leaving family members who had already purchased presents based on the previous year's arrangements confused about logistics and expectations. The worst part, Tyler reported, is watching Patricia try to control the narrative about what happened. She's been calling family members individually to explain that Marcus had to withdraw due to unexpected business complications. But people are starting to ask questions about why we went from having elaborate celebrations to having nothing in the span of a few weeks. Patricia had also been attempting to contact me directly, leaving increasingly desperate voicemails that revealed her growing panic about the situation she had created. Susanna, there's been a terrible misunderstanding about Christmas, one message began. I think there was some confusion about family communications, and now we have a real crisis on our hands. Can we please talk about finding a solution that works for everyone? Her subsequent messages became more manipulative, attempting to guilt me into rescuing the Christmas plans by focusing on the impact on innocent family members, particularly the children and elderly relatives who had been looking forward to the celebration. Emma is absolutely heartbroken, Patricia pleaded in another voicemail. She doesn't understand why the adults can't work out their differences for the sake of the family's happiness. Surely we can put aside whatever conflicts have developed and focus on what really matters during the holiday season. The most revealing message came when Patricia apparently forgot to end the call properly, and I could hear her speaking to someone in the background, presumably Dad. She's not responding to any of my messages. Patricia's voice was sharp with frustration. I don't think she's going to bail us out of this mess, which means you need to figure out how to explain to your family why Christmas is ruined. Maybe if you called her directly and apologized for whatever you said that upset her so much, she might reconsider. Hearing Patricia manipulate Dad even in crisis, framing the situation as his fault for not managing his communication with me more effectively, crystallized my understanding of how thoroughly she controlled information and narratives within the family dynamic. Tyler and I agreed that this crisis represented a crucial opportunity for truth to emerge naturally. Patricia's backup plan had failed, leaving her exposed and desperate in ways that might finally reveal her true character to family members who had previously accepted her version of events without question. The thing is, Tyler observed, Patricia has been promising everyone that this Christmas would be even better than the ones you organized. Now she has to deliver on those promises without any of the resources she's been criticizing you for providing. It's going to be impossible for her to maintain her narrative when reality doesn't match her claims. As we ended our conversation, I felt a mixture of sadness for the family members who were genuinely disappointed about the canceled celebration and anticipation about what might unfold as Patricia's deceptions became impossible to maintain. The crisis she had orchestrated to exclude me had finally created the conditions where truth might have a chance to emerge. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source: Tyler's technological expertise and his methodical approach to documenting Patricia's deception. Over the 2 weeks following Marcus' withdrawal, my brother had been quietly compiling evidence like a prosecutor building a case. I've got everything we need, Tyler announced during our morning phone call exactly 1 week before Christmas. Bank records, screenshots of her lies in family group chats, even a recording of Patricia bragging to her friend about successfully handling the Susanna problem. My pulse quickened as Tyler explained how he had managed to gather such comprehensive evidence. His professional background in software security had taught him to approach problems systematically, and he had applied those same analytical skills to exposing Patricia's manipulation campaign. The bank records came through Madison's forensic accounting analysis, which had uncovered not just the Christmas fund embezzlement but additional fraudulent transactions dating back almost 2 years. Patricia had been systematically skimming money from family emergency funds, charity donations I had made in the family's name, and even birthday gift contributions for extended relatives. The total theft is close to $7,000, Tyler reported grimly. She's been treating your generosity like her personal ATM, taking money for everything from spa treatments to online shopping sprees while creating fake emergencies to justify the withdrawals. The social media evidence was equally damning. Tyler had gained access to family group chat records through Emma, who had become increasingly suspicious of Patricia's behavior as the Christmas crisis unfolded. The screenshots revealed Patricia's systematic lies about family dynamics, her manipulation of conversations to support her narrative, and her coordination of the campaign to exclude me from holiday planning. Most revealing were the messages Patricia had sent to different family members, customizing her criticisms of me based on what she thought each person would find most convincing. To financially struggling relatives, she emphasized my alleged insensitivity about money. To family members with strong religious convictions, she suggested my generosity was motivated by pride rather than love. To parents, she claimed I was setting bad examples for children by creating unrealistic expectations about holiday celebrations. She literally crafted different versions of the same lies for different audiences, Tyler explained with disgust. It's sophisticated psychological manipulation designed to exploit each person's individual vulnerabilities and concerns. But the most devastating evidence was a recording Tyler had obtained through Emma, who had been present during a phone conversation between Patricia and her best friend from work. Emma had been using Patricia's laptop for a school project when the call came through on a video chat application, and she had the presence of mind to record the conversation when Patricia started discussing family matters. "You should hear how proud Patricia sounds when she describes manipulating Dad against you," Tyler said. "She actually brags about being able to control family dynamics and eliminate competition for influence. It's sociopathic." Tyler played portions of the recording for me over our secure phone connection. Patricia's voice was clear and confident as she described her strategy for removing me from family celebrations while positioning herself as the primary coordinator of holiday activities. "The best part is that Susanna played right into my hands," Patricia could be heard saying. "I knew if I pushed Daniel to reject her invitation, she'd react by withdrawing all her financial support. That gave me the perfect opportunity to prove my point about her manipulative character while clearing the way for Marcus to take over as the family benefactor." Patricia went on to describe her long-term plan for reshaping family dynamics around her preferences and her brother's financial resources. She had envisioned herself as the central figure coordinating all family activities, with Marcus providing the funding and me permanently excluded from any leadership role. "Susanna never understood that generosity without humility is just another form of control," Patricia continued in the recording. "The family needed someone who could organize beautiful celebrations without making everyone feel indebted or inadequate. Marcus and I could have given them that. But Susanna's selfishness ruined everything." The irony of Patricia calling me selfish while simultaneously describing her calculated manipulation of family relationships was almost breathtaking. She had convinced herself that her deception was motivated by concern for family well-being, when it was actually driven by her desire to control relationships and eliminate competition for influence. Tyler had arranged to present all this evidence to Dad during a private meeting scheduled for that afternoon. He had asked Emma to be present as well, since her testimony about Patricia's behavior would be crucial for Dad to understand how extensively he had been manipulated. "I'm nervous about how he's going to react," Tyler admitted. "Patricia has been his primary emotional support since Mom died, and learning that she's been systematically lying to him about his own daughter is going to be devastating." That evening, Tyler called with an update that left me emotionally drained but cautiously hopeful. Dad's initial reaction to the evidence had been denial and anger, but not directed at Tyler or me. Instead, he had become furious with himself for allowing Patricia's manipulation to damage his relationship with me. The bank records showing Patricia's theft had been particularly shocking, since Dad had no idea she had been embezzling money from family funds. He kept saying he couldn't believe had been so stupid, Tyler reported. The evidence was so overwhelming that he couldn't rationalize it away or make excuses for her behavior. He just kept apologizing for not protecting you from her manipulation. Dad had immediately confronted Patricia about the evidence Tyler presented. Her response had been to escalate into aggressive defensiveness, claiming that Tyler and I had fabricated evidence to discredit her because we were jealous of her relationship with Dad. She actually demanded that Dad choose between believing his children or believing her, Tyler continued. She said the family would never be peaceful as long as you had any influence over family decisions, and that Dad needed to decide whether he wanted a future with her or a relationship with his manipulative daughter. That ultimatum had been Patricia's crucial mistake. By forcing Dad to choose between his wife and his children while simultaneously being confronted with evidence of her financial theft and systematic deception, she had finally revealed her true character in ways that couldn't be rationalized or explained away. Dad had asked Patricia to return the stolen money and leave the family home. Her response had been to become increasingly hostile and threatening, making statements about creating public embarrassment for the family if she didn't receive what she considered fair compensation for the years she had spent managing household responsibilities and emotional labor. "She's shown her true colors now," Tyler concluded. "Dad finally sees who he actually married, and he's horrified by how badly he failed you and Emma by allowing Patricia to manipulate family relationships for her own benefit." The revelation process had been painful but ultimately liberating for everyone involved. Dad was ready to begin rebuilding trust with me. Emma felt vindicated in her instinctive doubts about Patricia's version of family dynamics, and even extended family members were starting to understand how thoroughly they had been deceived about my character and motivations. But the most important outcome was that Patricia's campaign of manipulation had finally been exposed completely, creating the foundation for genuine family healing based on honesty rather than carefully constructed narratives designed to serve someone's personal agenda. The phone rang at 7 in the morning on December 23rd. I almost didn't answer, expecting another manipulative voicemail from Patricia or a guilt-laden message from a family member asking me to reconsider my position for the sake of Christmas peace. Instead, I heard my father's voice, broken and humble in a way I hadn't experienced since my mother's funeral. "Susanna, sweetheart, I owe you the biggest apology of my life," Dad began, his words thick with emotion. "I've been such a fool, and am so ashamed of how I treated my own daughter. Tyler showed me everything Patricia has been doing, and I can't believe I let her turn me against you." For the first several minutes of our conversation, Dad simply apologized. He didn't ask for money or Christmas restoration or even forgiveness. He just wanted to acknowledge how completely he had failed as a father by allowing Patricia to manipulate his perceptions and damage our relationship. "Your mother asked me to take care of you children before she died," Dad continued, his voice breaking. "She was so proud of the successful, generous woman you'd become. If she could see how I let Patricia poison me against you, she'd be heartbroken. I betrayed your mother's trust and your love, and I don't know how to make it right." Hearing Dad's genuine remorse and understanding of what had transpired allowed something tight in my chest to finally release. The anger and hurt I'd been carrying for months began transforming into something that felt like relief. "Dad, Patricia is a master manipulator," I replied gently. "She exploited your grief and your financial worries to make you doubt my motivations. You're not the first good person to be deceived by someone like her, and unfortunately, you won't be the last." Dad explained that Patricia had moved out of the house 2 days earlier, taking only her personal belongings and leaving behind a letter demanding that he pay her $15,000 for what she called compensation for emotional labor and household management services. She had also threatened to contact local newspapers with stories about family dysfunction if Dad didn't meet her financial demands. "I don't care what she threatens to do," Dad said firmly. "I'm filing for divorce immediately, and I've already spoken with a lawyer about recovering the money she stole from you. I want to pay back every penny she took, even if it means using my retirement savings." I told Dad that recovering the stolen money was less important to me than rebuilding our relationship based on honesty and mutual respect. The financial theft was painful, but the real damage had been done to family relationships through Patricia's systematic deception. "What I want most," I said, "is to have my father back. I want to be able to call you without wondering what Patricia has been telling you about me. I want to visit your house without feeling like I am walking into hostile territory. I want us to be a real family again." Dad asked tentatively whether there was any possibility of salvaging Christmas for the family members who had been looking forward to the celebration. Emma was still devastated about the canceled ski trip, and several elderly relatives had already traveled to Colorado expecting some kind of family gathering. Instead of returning to our previous elaborate celebration model, I suggested organizing a more modest but meaningful Christmas at my home in Denver. I had a large enough space to accommodate the extended family members who were already in the area, and I could arrange catering and activities on short notice. "But I want this to be different from before," I explained to Dad. "No more elaborate productions that make people feel indebted or inadequate. Just good food, comfortable accommodations, and focus on spending time together as a family." The Christmas gathering I organized ended up being smaller but more intimate than our previous celebrations. Instead of the luxury chalet in Aspen, we had cozy family time in my Denver home with a catered meal from a local restaurant and simple gift exchanges focused on thoughtful rather than expensive presents. Emma was initially disappointed about missing the ski trip, but gradually warmed to the more relaxed atmosphere of our family gathering. Without Patricia's manipulative undercurrents, family conversations became more genuine and less performed. People felt free to express authentic emotions and opinions without worrying about how their words might be twisted or used against them later. Uncle Robert, who had been particularly influenced by Patricia's narrative about my controlling behavior, approached me privately to apologize for his distance over the past year. "I should have known Patricia was lying," he said simply. "You've never been anything but generous and kind to this family, and I feel terrible for believing her stories about you. The experience taught me several crucial lessons about family dynamics and financial boundaries. Generous giving should never become a substitute for honest communication about needs and expectations." When financial support creates uncomfortable power dynamics, those issues need to be addressed directly rather than allowed to fester into resentment. I also learned to recognize the warning signs of manipulation within family systems. Patricia's tactics, sophisticated psychological manipulation designed to exploit people's vulnerabilities and insecurities. Her success depended on family members not comparing notes or questioning her version of events. Moving forward, I established healthier boundaries around family financial support. I continue helping with reasonable expenses like medical bills or educational costs, but I no longer fund elaborate celebrations that might create unhealthy dependency or obligation. Family gatherings now focus on spending quality time together rather than impressive displays of hospitality. My relationship with Dad has grown stronger through our shared experience of surviving Patricia's manipulation. We now communicate more directly about family issues and make decisions together rather than allowing any single person to control information or coordinate activities without input from others. Emma has learned valuable lessons about recognizing toxic behavior in relationships and standing up for family members who are being unfairly criticized. Her experience watching Patricia manipulate family dynamics has made her more aware of how people can use emotional strategies to control others. Most importantly, I've learned that authentic family love doesn't require expensive demonstrations or perfect holiday productions. The most meaningful connections happen through honest conversations, mutual support during difficult times, and shared experiences that don't depend on luxury or elaborate planning. Patricia's manipulation campaign ultimately failed because it was built on lies about my character and motivations. While she succeeded temporarily in creating doubt and distance, the truth about family relationships based on genuine care and respect eventually emerged stronger than her manufactured narratives. The greatest victory wasn't exposing Patricia's deception or recovering the money she stole. The real triumph was rediscovering what my family relationships could be when built on honesty, communication, and mutual respect, rather than financial transactions or carefully managed images. Now, I want to hear from all of you. Have you ever experienced manipulation within your own family relationships? How did you handle situations where someone was spreading lies about you to people you love? What strategies helped you maintain your sense of self when facing systematic emotional manipulation? Share your stories and insights in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please like this video and subscribe for more content about navigating complex family dynamics and protecting yourself from manipulative relationships. Don't forget to share this with anyone who might benefit from understanding how sophisticated emotional manipulation operates within families. Thank you for listening to my story, and I hope it helps someone else recognize the warning signs of manipulation before it destroys important relationships. Remember that standing up for yourself and setting healthy boundaries isn't selfish. It's necessary for building authentic connections with people who genuinely value and respect you.